Imagine boarding a flight with 238 other people, settling into your seat, and preparing for a routine overnight journey. The aircraft climbs smoothly into the darkness. The cabin lights dim. Passengers fall asleep. Then, without a single distress call, without a single emergency message, without even a trace of panic, the aircraft simply disappears. Not from radar, from the face of the Earth. More than a decade later, despite one of the largest and most expensive search operations in aviation history, nobody knows exactly what happened to Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. This is the story of the greatest mystery aviation has ever known. You're watching Charge Sheet, where evidence speaks louder than theories and every mystery is examined one fact at a time. This is the case of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. On the night of March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 departed Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Its destination was Beijing, China. On board were 227 passengers from 14 countries and 12 crew members. The aircraft was a Boeing 777-200ER, one of the safest and most reliable long-haul aircraft ever built. Nothing appeared unusual. The weather was calm. The aircraft had no reported technical issues. The pilots were highly experienced. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah had logged more than 18,000 flight hours, while First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid was nearing the completion of his training. Everything about this flight suggested it would be another routine journey. But less than 40 minutes after takeoff, everything changed. At 1:19 a.m., Malaysian Air Traffic Control instructed the crew to contact Vietnamese controllers as the aircraft approached national airspace. Captain Zahari replied calmly, "Good night, Malaysian 370. Those would become the last known words ever transmitted from MH370. Less than 2 minutes later, the aircraft's transponder suddenly stopped transmitting. To air traffic controllers, it simply vanished. No distress call.
No Mayday.
No emergency squawk. Military radar, however, revealed something unexpected. Instead of continuing toward Beijing, the aircraft had turned sharply back across the Malaysian peninsula. It then flew northwest, crossed the Strait of Malacca, and continued into the darkness. Investigators would later estimate that the aircraft remained airborne for several more hours. But where it went after that, no one knew. As daylight arrived, authorities expected the aircraft to land somewhere unexpectedly. Instead, nothing. No emergency landing.
No recce. No survivors.
Within hours, an international search involving dozens of countries began. Ships scanned the South China Sea. Aircraft flew thousands of square kilometers every day. But investigators were searching in the wrong place. Days later, military radar data revealed the aircraft had turned west. The search area shifted dramatically. Then came one of the most remarkable breakthroughs in aviation investigation. Not from radar, not from satellites taking pictures, but from tiny electronic handshakes between the aircraft and an Inmarsat communications satellite. These signals would completely change the investigation. Although the aircraft's communication systems had largely stopped transmitting, one system continued responding automatically. Every hour, MH370 exchanged brief electronic signals, known as handshakes, with an Inmarsat satellite. These weren't conversations. They contained no location data. But they did reveal something critical: the distance between the aircraft and the satellite. By analyzing the timing of these signals, engineers calculated enormous arcs showing where the aircraft could have been. Then another clue emerged: a tiny frequency shift caused by the Doppler effect. Using this data, experts concluded the aircraft had most likely flown south into the remote Indian Ocean rather than north toward Asia. It was an extraordinary piece of detective work. But it also pointed investigators toward one of the most isolated places on Earth. With no wreckage and no flight recorders, speculation spread rapidly. Some suggested catastrophic mechanical failure. Others proposed a fire or sudden decompression that incapacitated everyone on board. There were theories involving hijacking, foreign military action, or even cyber interference. The most discussed possibility was deliberate human intervention. Investigators found a flight simulator at Captain Zahari's home containing deleted routes that included areas of the Indian Ocean. Some viewed this as significant. Others argued there was no direct evidence connecting those simulations to MH370 intentionally caused the aircraft's disappearance. No theory has been proven beyond doubt. And without the flight recorders, the final moments of MH370 remain unknown. More than a year after the disappearance, pieces of aircraft debris began washing ashore on islands along the western Indian Ocean. Investigators confirmed several fragments came from MH370, including a wing component known as the flapron. These discoveries proved the aircraft had ended its journey in the Indian Ocean, but they did not reveal exactly where it crashed. After searching more than 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor, the official underwater search ended in 2017. Private company Ocean Infinity later conducted additional missions, but the aircraft itself has still not been located. In 2025 and 2026, plans for renewed search efforts kept hope alive that the wreckage and the flight recorders might finally be found. Until that day comes, the true sequence of events aboard MH370 remains one of aviation's greatest unanswered questions. Because somewhere beneath the vast expanse of the southern Indian Ocean, the final chapter of Flight MH370 is still waiting to be discovered.